Before start story, subscribe our channel so you'll get latest videos. And where from are you watching? It was a little past 3:30 in the morning when Andrew Cole, a billionaire whose life revolved around control, schedules, and calculated decisions, found himself walking aimlessly through the endless hallways of his ultra-modern estate on the outskirts of San Jose, California. The house was quiet in a way that felt unnatural. Too large for one man who spent most of his life commanding boardrooms and closing deals across continents. Moonlight poured through the massive glass windows, reflecting off polished floors and casting long shadows that followed him like unspoken thoughts. Sleep had once again refused to come, his mind looping endlessly through numbers, contracts, and strategies. Yet beneath all that noise was an ache he had never learned how to name, a hollow space no amount of wealth had ever filled. Then suddenly he heard something that didn't belong, a faint but persistent sound drifting through the silence, the soft rush of running water, followed by the gentle scrape of a sponge against porcelain. The sound repeated itself, slow and deliberate, and it made him stop in his tracks. Curiosity mixed with unease pulled him toward the kitchen, a space designed for hosting extravagant gatherings that rarely happened. Stainless steel counters gleamed under dim lights, and yet there, standing on a small stool by the sink, was a young girl carefully washing a towering stack of dishes, her hands red from the water, her oversized sweater sleeves rolled up past her elbows, her body trembling slightly despite the warmth of the room. Loose strands of hair clung to her damp forehead as exhaustion weighed visibly on her small frame. Andrew cleared his throat softly, and she spun around in panic, nearly dropping the glass in her hands, fear flashing across her wide eyes as she recognized him instantly. It was Sophia, the teenage daughter of one of his cleaning staff, a girl he had only ever noticed in passing. "I'm sorry, sir," she whispered quickly, her voice shaking as she explained she wanted to finish the work before morning because her mother had been too sick to come in that day and she didn't want her to lose her job. Andrew noticed how carefully Sophia chose her words, never complaining, never asking for sympathy, simply stating facts as if she learned long ago that survival required silence. When he asked about her mother, Sophia admitted she had been struggling with severe breathing problems for months, often coughing through the night, sometimes unable to stand. The doctor suspected chronic asthma, but the medication was expensive, and missing work meant no income, so they endured it instead. Sophia confessed she had stopped attending school regularly, staying home to care for her mother, cook meals, manage chores, and then come to mansion at night to help however she could. Andrew felt something tighten in his chest as he listened, realizing this child carried responsibilities no one her age should ever bear. His gaze fell on a worn backpack leaning against a cabinet, its fabric faded and straps frayed, a small academic ribbon pinned carefully to the side. When he asked about it, Sophia hesitated before admitting it was an award from school. She had once been a top student with dreams of becoming a nurse, but dreams felt like luxuries now, something meant for other people. Andrew stood there in silence longer than usual, the weight of his own privilege pressing heavily on him, then quietly told her that things would change starting that very morning. He arranged for her mother to be seen by a leading pulmonary specialist who confirmed the illness was severe and required immediate, long-term treatment. Andrew covered every cost without discussion, ensuring medications, follow-ups, and home care. He personally contacted Sophia's school administrators who spoke highly of her intelligence and resilience, revealing she had been recommended for advanced programs before her absences. Tutoring was arranged, transportation provided, and schedules adjusted so she could return without fear of falling behind. Weeks passed, and slowly life shifted. Sophia's mother regained strength, color returning to her face, laughter returning to their small apartment. Sophia's shoulders straightened as hope replaced exhaustion. She began attending school regularly again, balancing studies and family with newfound confidence. One afternoon, Andrew visited their modest home unannounced, invited to sit at a small table and share a simple meal. No luxury, no formality, just warmth and gratitude that filled a room in a way his mansion never had. Sophia's mother held his hands with tears in her eyes, telling him he had given them more than help. He had given them dignity and a future. Andrew replied quietly that no child should ever have to choose between love and survival. Months later, at a graduation ceremony filled with proud families and applause, Sophia stood on stage wearing her cap and gown, the same academic ribbon now joined by medals of achievement. her voice steady as she spoke about unseen struggles, silent sacrifices, and the power of someone choosing to care. Andrew watched in the back of the auditorium, unnoticed and content, realizing that for the first time in his life his success had meaning beyond numbers, because real wealth wasn't built in isolation or control, but in moments where kindness interrupts indifference. And as the crowd rose in applause, Andrew walked away knowing that a future once slipping through the cracks was now shining brightly. Proof that compassion, when given freely, can change lives forever.